Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to come here today to talk to you a little bit about stress and how you manage it and how you manage it can have a strong impact on your immune system and your vitality and your health. But first, let's just take a moment to make sure that we're really here. So find yourself a chair or the floor and just let yourself come to stillness. And notice if that feels welcome or if it feels unsettling, unwelcome, even threatening. Just notice your experience without judgment. And imagine that you can put down roots and really send your sitting bones down into the earth, dropping into a place of stability and strength, settling into a deep place of feeling supported and at ease. And if you're one of many people who can't find that place right now, just imagine what it might be like to be so safe and supported that you really could rest and just drop in. And let that sense of being held be the container in which we work today, whether it's real for you or you need to imagine it. So deeply grounding into the earth, also reaching the crown of the head up toward the heavens. And imagine just taking your rightful place between heaven and earth. Feel yourself rise up long and tall. Notice space arise between vertebra and ribs. Exhale, relaxing shoulder blades. And as they slide down the back, notice how that draws open the collarbones and the heart. Release and relax the shoulders as best you can. And as the upper arms settle in at your sides, if your mind is still busy or you're not quite here yet, see if it helps to keep the palms turned down. If on the other hand, what you discover is that you're exhausted just from coming to stillness, if you'd like to stay awake, turn the palms to face up and see if that's supportive for you. And then try to arrange the head directly over the spine, realizing how much time we spend leaning forward into the future. For now, just allow the full weight of the head to arrive at the top of the spine, bringing yourself into alignment, chin parallel to the ground. And then either let your eyes gently close or let your gaze just fall soft and unfocused a couple of feet in front of you. When you next breathe out everything that's come before this, releasing the past because it's gone and releasing the future because it's not here yet. Just for a few moments, choose to be right here, right now, just as you are, in this moment, this body, this room. And then just take a moment to feel how it feels to be you sitting here now in your body. Just noticing without judgment any tightness or tension that you've brought, any aches or pains. If you know the part of the body that stores your stress, just check in there and see how that part feels right now. And take note of any other parts that are either asking for extra care today or seem that they're not connected. Just notice how it feels to be you. And it may help you to settle into your body by literally coming to your senses. So not thinking about how you are, but feeling the weight of the body against the chair or the floor, noticing the feet touching floor. Feel the length of the spine, the position of the hands, the sensation of clothing, the temperature of the air that surrounds you. Just take a moment to literally drop in by coming to your senses. And then notice breath, this amazing and precious breath, which we are given as a gift. We don't often take note of it, but in this moment, in this world, somebody is breathing out and not back in. So take a moment to receive this breath with gratitude. Notice the speed with which your breath moves in and out, the ease or struggle of its journey, and where in the body it feels the most alive for you. Just take note. Maybe deep, maybe shallow, could be front or back, or maybe you don't notice breath at all. Everything's okay. We're just gathering information about what is so. See if you can be present for more than one breath. And if by chance you can, what you'll discover is a space that naturally lives between breaths. It's a pause that we can learn to inhabit. Let yourself wait there. And when the next breath comes, really feel the joy at being breathed. It is a gift to receive another breath. Just take a moment to realize that. And see if you can just watch yourself being breathed, not changing, not controlling, just allowing yourself to be breathed. And finally, turn your attention toward your mind and notice what's happening in there. If your mind had weather, what is the weather today? Is it clear and sunny with occasional white fluffy thought clouds? Is it gray and gloomy and dreary? Maybe a storm is brewing. Or perhaps there's one thought that's just circling around and around and around that seems to be holding you captive. Notice that, and then notice how you're relating to whatever you discover. Maybe with curiosity, maybe with fear. No judgment, just notice. And so, to the extent that you can, for this very short and precious time, let go of the notion that something else should be happening in this moment, in the world. See what happens if you choose to meet whatever is so, moment to moment, without judgment, rousing that sense of curiosity rather than being overwhelmed by fear. And allow a sense of deep, deep gratitude for the opportunity to come together in this way. Technology serves us beautifully right now. Knowing that we're opening our hearts and minds and bodies with practice in a way that will benefit us and through us, truly be a gift to the world in which we live. So I offer you some words from a poem that may well resonate with you. And every day the world will drag you by the hand, saying, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. You need to worry about this, and this, and this. And each day it is important for you to yank your hand back and place it on your heart and say, no, this is what is important. So welcome again, and thank you for joining me. So again, I wanted to just take a few moments to help you understand the impact of what's going on around us on our nervous system and on our immune system. Most of us don't really take note of the impact of external circumstances, including our own thoughts. But I want to just do a little practice to help you understand the power of your thoughts on your nervous system. So if you would, for just indulge me for another moment or so, Stay in your seat and take a moment to close your eyes. Again, just take a quick check-in with the body, the breath, and the mind, and just notice how you are. And if it's okay, let your eyes close for just a moment. It will be helpful. We'll do a little imagery. And imagine that there's a whiteboard or a movie screen in front of your closed eyes. And suddenly on that screen appears the image of someone or something that you dearly love. So rather than thinking about this person or thing or telling a story, just feel what it feels like to be in the presence of one that you love. Now, if you don't have someone who you can call to mind, one of my favorite Buddhist teachers, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, says everybody loves something, even if it's only tortilla chips. So just bring up something that makes you happy. And again, rather than thinking about the happiness, feel what it feels like. Literally, notice what your face is doing. What expression does it wear? Notice the ease or tension in the muscles of your face. If you carry tension in your body and you know where that is, see what's happening there now. Notice the ease or struggle of breath, the speed, the depth. And finally, notice in the presence of this person or thing that you love, what's on your mind? What emotional tone is there? What thoughts? And when you feel that you've gathered the information that's available, let that screen go blank. And now bring into awareness something projected on that screen that is not your favorite thing. Not the worst thing in the world, but something that just reliably and predictably irritates you. A person that just gets under your skin, traffic, having to eat food that you don't like, something that just annoys you but isn't the worst thing in the world. And now notice your face and what expression it wears. The ease or tension in the muscles of the face. What, if anything, has happened to that part of your body where you know your stress tends to show up? When you tune into your breath, what's happening now? Has the speed changed or the depth or the smoothness or stickiness with which it comes and goes? And what's on your mind now? What's the emotional tone? What are the thoughts that are swirling around in the presence of this thing that does not make you so happy? And so when you've got all of that information, the screen goes blank. And try your best to resist calling back either the pleasant or the unpleasant image, and bring your fingertips together. Fingertips of one hand touch fingertips of the other in Hakini Mudra. Let your fingertips and the attention on the fingertips be your focus. But this time, allow the breath to come in and see if you can give the full weight of your attention to the out-breath. Literally following the out-breath from its beginning all the way until it disappears. Maybe you'll imagine it's a wisp of smoke or a color that dissipates, but follow it all the way to its natural end. Wait in that space that you'll discover. Allow the next breath to come, but give your full attention to the breath going out. Now, the reason for your fingertips to be your focus is if you get distracted from that, if you get lost in thought or sound or sensation, let your fingertips be your anchor to bring you back to now. And when you feel like you're here, resume attention, full attention on the breath going out. Nothing matters in this moment but the breath going out. When you get lost in thought or sound or sensation, no big deal. Notice with delight. Bring your attention back and follow the breath all the way out. Allowing the in-breath, giving full attention to the out-breath. Just the out-breath. Following the out-breath. And now take a moment to notice your face again. Notice that part of your body where stress lives, the ease or struggle of your breath. And notice what's on your mind right now. And so I wonder how many of you notice that when you just think of something pleasant, your face smiles. You don't have to make it smile, it just happens. And no matter how tense and tight you are usually, perhaps you felt your body relax in the presence of this thing that you love. Maybe your breath got deeper, and maybe your mind shifted away from the worry. Maybe not, but maybe so. And you're sitting here feeling just fine, and all of a sudden you change your mind. And I'm betting that some of you noticed that smile got wiped off your face. Maybe the tension and tightness came back to your body. Perhaps it was challenging to breathe. And maybe your mind started to spin again, all of the stories and the worries and the fears that are surrounding us these days. Well, I didn't do that deliberately to upset you. I did it so that you noticed that even when you get caught up in that spin cycle of worry and fear, if you say so, you can bring your attention back to breath. And that's why I like this mudra. And when you follow the out breath all the way to its natural end, you're actually deliberately shifting the state of your autonomic nervous system. Now, that's pretty big news that you can use. When I was in medical school, I was told that the autonomic nervous system is involuntary, which means that you cannot control it. But what we just did was control it. We just turned it off and turned on the relaxation response. And while it takes some practice, it is really that easy. Now, here's why that's important. Because when something happens and you turn on the fight or flight response, the information that comes in that causes, that is the trigger, lands first in the most primitive part of your brain. That's the part that is totally focused on survival, because we are wired for survival rather than happiness. So if we feel even minimally threatened, and get me, hear this, right now, anything that's out of the expected can be perceived as a threat. I think that most of us live our life in fight or flight, and some of us in freeze. So all of the energy and information in the world is getting stuck back here in the primitive part of our brain. What we want to do is we want to interrupt that automatic pilot feedback loop. We want to notice that we've been triggered, and we want to send information up to our prefrontal cortex so our higher cognitive functions can look up in this moment and assess the safety or danger of the situation and shift that automatic pilot reaction into a present moment conscious response. That's a huge amount of power to have. Here's the thing, you must be present in the body to win. If you noticed, your physiology changes first. And the reason for that is because when the energy and information arrives in the spine at the most primitive part of up the spine at the most primitive part of the brain, that's the part of the brain that controls all your physiology. So before your cognitive mind processes that there's danger, your heart rate has already gone up. Your blood pressure has already gone up. Blood has already been shifted away from your GI tract to your large muscle groups in your thigh so that you can run from this danger. The brain cannot tell the difference between a real and an imagined threat. So we get into this feedback loop. We don't have nuance. If there's a crisis, it's a life-threatening crisis, and that's how your nervous system responds. What we're trying to do is interrupt it, and the way you're going to interrupt it is to notice the shifts in your body. So your job, your homework for this week, is to start to notice what part of your body speaks first when you feel like you've been triggered. Let that be your mindfulness bell to start to shift these automatic pilot habits that keep us tangled up in the fight or flight response. Now, here's why that's important and how it impacts the immunity. When there's an emergency, your body in its innate wisdom mobilizes all resources to go towards survival. They have to draw resources from somewhere, and where it is drawn from are any non-essential functions. The non-essential functions that suffer when we live with 24/7 stress are the GI tract, the endocrine system, and the immune system. That's a big deal right now. It's a big deal all the time, but it's a really big deal now. So if I am expending resources and stealing from these restorative functions in this time when I need a robust immunity, it makes sense to me to make sure that there really is a present moment life-threatening emergency before I steal from my immune system. So if we're paying attention, we can start to interrupt this reactivity to the world when our life is not in danger. And by virtue of that, we return resources back to our restorative functions so that when there is a true emergency, we've got enough fuel in our tank to respond to it consciously. Otherwise, we're really moving through life with an empty tank with regard to our digestion, our immune function, and our hormonal health. So this is good news for all the time, but it's especially important, I think, right now. What can you do? Well, again, the first thing to do is to notice in your body when something has changed, and let that be an opportunity to look up and to literally come to your senses, literally take stock of the moment and realize that in this moment, I'm not in danger. I just had a thought. Sometimes the trigger will be an external circumstance like the news. Sometimes the trigger will be a thought that you generate. So, and of course, there are tons of other things, but those are the big ones right now, I think, that are happening. So once you notice that something's happened in your body, it can allow you to pause. You're just literally by your attention directing resources from this reaction up toward the prefrontal cortex, which allows you to go, okay, wait, what just happened? Is this an emergency? If it's not, literally, you're creating new neural pathways that can be observed on a functional MRI scan of your brain to thicken the pathway from the prefrontal cortex back to the limbic system and literally start to tone down this reactive part of the limbic system called the amygdala. And there's a lot of other stuff I don't want to tangle you up with. To be able to change the way neurons are firing in your brain and impact your immunity, your digestion, and your endocrine system, that is a huge amount of power to have. And yet, if we're not paying attention, we don't have that power. So the more attention you pay to how you feel in your body, the more opportunity you're going to have to start to create these neural pathways. Literally, your breath is always happening now, so that brings you back into this moment. If you come to your senses, whatever you're taking in through your senses is happening now, like that burst of birdsong that we had a little bit ago. Let that bring you back to now. Leave the future, leave the past, come back to now, because this is the only moment that you can act to affect the future. So I hope that makes sense. I want to just tell you a couple more energy medicine based things that you can do when you get stuck in this loop of reactivity. Just very briefly, triple warmer meridian is the Chinese medicine equivalent of the autonomic nervous system. So it's responsible for help keeping you alive. It's responsible for survival. And when it needs to survive, it steals energy from every other system in the same way that Western physiology explains it, just like I just shared with you. So if I want to settle down triple warmer, I can do a couple of things to remind it that it's safe. And they're very, very simple things. And one of them is just to trace it. The meridians in traditional Chinese medicine are just rivers of energy that flow, and they're meant to flow with ease. When energy gets stuck or blocked, there's dis-ease or literal disease. So we want to keep energy flowing through the system. And when triple warmer is hoarding all of the energy, nobody else is getting what they need. So we want to reestablish flow. So triple warmer meridian runs from the temple all the way down the outside of the arm and off the fourth finger. You can literally trace it backwards 3 times and it just settles it down. Don't believe me, try this. You can also trace up over the ears and just take your whole hand down your neck really slowly. Bring it down to the heart. If you really feel stuck in a fearful state, you can tap the space between your 4th and 5th fingers. That's a fear point. It just settles down the energy in triple warmer meridian. The other piece that I'll just throw in, hopefully I'm not overwhelming you, is that the first person, the first meridian that triple warmer steals energy from when it needs some is spleen meridian. And spleen meridian is responsible for your digestion, assimilation of information and experience, and your immune system and your hormones. So you see how this really does correlate very nicely with Western neuroscience and physiology. Is just looking at it in a different way, and it gives you tools in the palms of your hands to start to shift this. So placing one finger, just a cluster of fingers on your heart, the opposite, that other hand just under your armpit, and breathing harmonizes the spleen meridian. And I think it feels really good. So I hope you'll try this. And finally, you can just leave that one hand under your arm and take the other hand and grab the opposite elbow. This is the triple warmer meridian point. This is a spleen point. So we're just asking them to share, to get along, to reharmonize. And if you rock gently, rocking settles down triple warmer as well. So I hope this has been helpful. I think it's going to be useful for you in the coming days and weeks and months and who knows how long. Come to your senses. Listen to your body. When your body speaks, listen. It's telling you the truth. Remember that you get to choose what gets your attention. So come to your senses. What just happened? I do have a choice here. I have power to respond to this circumstance rather than react. Come to your breath, which is always happening now. And remember triple warmer to settle it down. Trace it backwards. One hand on the heart, one hand under the arm to harmonize spleen. Or you can leave that hand under your arm, grab your elbow, and just rock to harmonize triple warmer and spleen. So again, I hope this is helpful for you. I wish you so much love and good health. And I hope that you'll realize that you have way more power than you know to enhance your immunity by diminishing your stress. And the way to diminish your stress first is to notice that you have it. So notice your body when it gets tense and let that be a mindfulness bell. It's time to befriend. And if you think that we cannot change the world and flatten the curve by taking care of ourselves, remember the words of Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful and committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So let's just each take our responsibility to increase the vitality and robustness of our immune system, and trust that it's going to be a benefit to the world. Thank you from my heart. Take gentle care. I'll see you soon.